What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's Charles Schwab Challenge. And if you're watching, or I guess if you're listening, you can probably tell I'm not at home. I'm still on the road. I'm still in Louisville. I did a live show on Monday on CBS Sports Network, and I'm not leaving till Tuesday morning. So apologies if this is coming out a little bit later than usual, or apologies if the logistics are a little bit different because I'm on my laptop setup or my mobile setup as opposed to my home setup. So hopefully it looks good enough and sounds good enough before I can get back home into the main studio. Last week was an absolute blast. I can't believe I get to do this for a living, but we must roll on. We must look ahead to Colonial. We must look ahead to the field this week and break down to the best of our ability with data, logic, and reason who has the best chance and who might not be so good. Let's get into it. Okay, this is my website, RickRunGood.com. It's a giant database for fantasy golf and golf betting. We're going to start here on the course key stats page. This is Colonial Country Club. This is a golf course that has been around, oh my gosh, I think it was built in 1924. Don't quote me on that, but essentially 100 years old, maybe 90 years old. But there's been some big changes for this year. Gil Hans got his hands on this place, and it is not going to look anything like we've seen before. So while we have the data and the history here, right, we've got the regression model. We like, or the model historically likes driving accuracy and putting, keeping it within the tree line. It likes approach play. It will probably be a little bit different this year, not wholly different. So the layout is the same, right? It's not like they've made dogleg lefts into dogleg rights or made fives into fours or threes into five. Like, it's not like that. But there's new grass everywhere, okay? The whole golf course has been resodded. It's been regrassed, just every inch of it. A few of the greens have moved a little bit, and also it's a lot more rugged, okay? So they're trying to throw this back to, gosh, don't quote me on this, 1941 U.S. Open, something like that. It was the inspiration for the redesign. So you're going to see a lot more ruggedness. You're not going to see a bunch of clean lines. You know, those creeks that go through the golf course, those have been grassed over. You see things like fescue or higher grass in spots. That's very Gil Hansy, and it's going to be just a little bit more rugged. It's going to look like an older golf course. I think it was 1961, now that I'm thinking about it, not 1941. But that's what it's going to look like. So take this with a grain of salt. But what we have here is a golf course that is kind of hems you in a little bit. So you're going to want to play out of the fairway. You have to be able to get access to these greens in two. Driving accuracy ends up being fairly highly correlated to success. And then, of course, strokes gained putting as well. If you look at some of the deeper dives into the stats with a smaller sample size, you get a lot of approach stats here. So you get proximity to hole, approaches from 75 to 100 yards, approaches from 100 to 125 in the rough, fairway proximity, approaches from 150 to 175. Individually, none of those are great stats. I mean, proximity, I guess, is fine. But together, it speaks a lot to the second shot nature of this golf course. And I think that Colonial is a course where the second shot is very much tied to the first shot. You know, we talk about that at Harbor Town. We talk about it at maybe not Pebble Beach, just like places where even if you hit a decent drive, you might not have a great angle to get in on the second shot, or you might not have a great look. So this golf course, more than others, the first and the second shot are connected to one another. If you take every single golfer in this field, look at those stats from above, and take the last 36 rounds, here are the players that are best adjusted fit onto Colonial. Scottie Scheffler, number one player in the field, number one player in the world. As of this moment, he is still playing. Victor Hovland withdrew Sunday night. There was rumors and kind of speculation flying around, an expectation that Scottie was going to withdraw from this event. That has not happened. So I will proceed as if he is still playing, but I will make that note. And again, I'm doing this on Wednesday afternoon. Doug Gim is number 2, Keith Mitchell is 3, Adam Scott is 4, and Davis Thompson is 5 in terms of golfers that get a boost in adjusted course fit. You can see some of the penalties for missing the fairway and some of the rewards for hitting long drives. If you miss the fairway around here, you are looking at anywhere from a quarter of a shot to a half shot penalty on basically every single par 4 and par 5. That's a lot. It's pretty sizable on the PGA Tour, especially number 9, where if you miss the fairway, it's nearly 2/3 of a stroke that you are giving up to the field. So playing out of the short grass is going to be very, very important this week. Let's name some names here. Again, I'm showing you the cheat sheet on RickRunGood.com. I am going to assume Scottie Scheffler is in this field. He has $13,300, and there is really not much more I need to say here. You look at his stats from the PGA Championship, they were nearly identical to his stats at the RBC Heritage, and that was an event that he won. I was there on site. Obviously, we reported everything. On Friday, when the news broke about him getting arrested, a sentence I never could have imagined me saying on this YouTube channel, then we did like 8 straight hours of live television. Like, it was just absolutely craziness. And then, of course, he runs in there. Our set was right on the driving range. We saw him come down to the driving range. It was pretty interesting. It was pretty cool to be like in the moment while that was happening. Long story short, the round that he played on Saturday, the worst round of the year by far, the worst round in quite some time by far, after the adrenaline dump of Friday, not having Ted Scott on the bag, I just absolutely don't care about it, right? And then he bounces back with one of the best rounds that we saw on Sunday. I think, honestly, if he doesn't get arrested, he might have won the PGA Championship as well. He was playing that well. I got to see him hit a lot of shots this week. He's unbelievable. His process is the best. His distance control is the best. He drives it beautifully. All of the above. I'll stop there because I assume, I don't assume, but I don't even know if he's going to be in this field. Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, Max Homa are the next 3 in that 4K range. Morikawa played great last week, but struggled on Sunday. Never really got anything going momentum-wise. Jordan Spieth has been up and down all year long, but has an unbelievable record around Colonial. And then Max Homa has been steady at this golf course. Colin, I think, is fine. I'm not excited. I'm not going to be disappointed if you don't want to play him. I'm not going to have him in every single lineup. I'll probably just try to match the field there. Jordan Spieth, I think, is a lot more concerning. Not only do we have the injury, but we've got a golfer who this year has been unable to summon the course history magic. So what I mean by that is there was a stretch of golf where it didn't matter the form that Jordan Spieth was in. When he showed up at a golf course like Augusta National or Colonial or Pebble Beach or Harbor Town, whatever that, like the places that he was really good at, when he showed up there, he would play well. And it didn't matter what his form coming in was. We haven't really seen that this year, right? He didn't play well at Harbor Town. He didn't play well at Augusta National. I do like the way that his metrics turned out at the PGA Championship. He gained strokes on approach for the week, and he gained, I'll call Saturday a 0. He gained in 3 of the last 4 rounds. It was a better profile, but it still only results in a T43. It's really just not good enough at this point. Now, if you look at his Charles Schwab Challenge, which is really his Colonial history, it is just it's just unworldly, right? Even from the first time he played it, 7th in 2013, 14th runner-up, win runner-up, 32nd, 8th, 10th, 2nd, 7th. Missed the cut here last year, lost 4 strokes in the short game category. So this is concerning to me. I do like the trend of the way that his stats are going, but I am not convinced that he is now that he's now like slump proof or whatever it might be, that he can just show up at a golf course that's really good for him and play well. Max Homa, on the other hand, he played, I believe, much better at the PGA Championship than his final result dictates, and that final result was a T35. He his swing is so good. I love watching it in person. His 2024 has been one of the most underrated. He continues to gain throughout the bag. He's a great second shot player. You don't have to be particularly long here, but playing out of the fairway is going to give you a pretty decent edge. If you look at his history at this event, 9th last year, 23rd the year before. He missed the cut in 2020. 2019, he finished at T27, and then he missed the cut in 2015. So spread out over a bunch of years, but the last two have certainly been very good, which aligns with what Max has done for his entire career. He's got to keep the ball in the fairway. That's the concern. So we do really, we don't have a top of the board that is void of concern, is void of issues. The 10K range, 100% if Scotty withdraws, those guys have issues. If he doesn't, then I'll be piling up Scotty. I'll be piling up Homa. Just for full transparency here are the best players in this field at Colonial since the start of 2019. Jordan Spieth, number one, no surprise. He's gaining 1.9 strokes per round over his 18 rounds. Tony Finau is number two, 1.78 over 18 rounds. And then Colin Morikawa is number three. So let's talk about Tony here. This is a very interesting spot. Played good, not great at the PGA Championship. I got a lot of looks at him because he played with Justin Thomas on Sunday and saw a lot of that round. I'm starting to be fairly encouraged by his tee to green game, but more specifically his approach play. So he gained 9.6 on approach at the PGA Championship. That is now like 10 of 11 in which he's gained multiple strokes on approach. For whatever reason, he cannot get the driver dialed in. He's got all the distance in the world. I watched him drive the green on, what would that be, 4 on Sunday, which is probably the only guy in the field who could have gotten there, and he did it. And yet, somehow this is not a weapon for him and hasn't always been a weapon for him this year. So it's weird, but it feels like Finau is headed in the right direction, while when you compare him to someone like Jordan Spieth, it's harder to tell what direction Jordan is actually going in. And then, of course, the good history as outlined for Tony Finau. So that would be a much more interesting buy for me. If you liked Siwoo Kim for the last 3 months, this is really going to put you to the test here, okay? So not only do we get the missed cut last week, and I'll pull it up just so that we can look at it, but I find Siwoo to be very, very consistent, very sticky, course over course, year over year. So at the PGA Championship, the approach play finally cooled off, the driver finally cooled off, and he combined it with an always cold putter, and he misses the cut, losing 4.6 strokes. And I could give him a pass for missing a cut at a major championship. It happens all the time, especially a very, very deep field like they have at the PGA Championship. But look at his history around this event. T29 last year was his best result. WD, missed cut, 66th, missed cut. I think the play here is to hold off a little bit on Siwoo and try to catch that hot putting week maybe a little bit farther down the road. He tends to play well at courses he has historically. Give him a Pete Dye setup, or let him go to Wyndham or something like that, and let's unleash Siwoo there. This is starting to be a little bit of a sticky pickle. Who hits a lot of fairways and has an elite second shot game, especially from, 150 yards and in, and they have to be priced in the $9,000 range? Well, that right there is Tom Hoge, of course, right? So Hoge is 35th in this field in driving accuracy, and he's second in this field in strokes gained approach, right? So that is 6.06 that he gained at the PGA Championship, meaning he has not lost strokes on approach on the PGA Tour since the 2023 St. Jude Classic. That was in August of 2023. So basically the last 9 months, the putter's coming around. He uses his accuracy off the tee, lack of distance as a weapon. This is probably the most shocking history because on paper this would be a really good spot for him, and it hasn't been. But I'm willing to give that another crack. The Harris English stuff continues to be really good. T12 here last year, and now something like 5 top 25s in a row, including one of them coming at the PGA Championship, a T18 at the PGA Championship. I need him to clean up the second shot, but that's exactly what he did at Valhalla, right? He gained 3.2 strokes there. He always has a very good short game, so he can get hot. But this is a guy who is a savvy vet, who has figured out a way to finish inside the top 22 in both major championships this year, inside the top 30 at Harbor Town, which is a signature event, and inside the top 35 at another signature event at the Wells Fargo Championship. So it's really impressive what he's been up to, especially in some of the deeper fields. This field not going to be nearly as deep as some of those other ones that we have seen. If you go to the 8K range, if you don't even go to the 8K range, if you just go to everybody in this field in general, and look for best players over the last 36 rounds, 100% you're going to get Scottie Scheffler. Do you have any idea who you might get second? Would you get Hoagie? Would you get Colin? Would you get, I don't know. Who else would you get? Well, actually, you will get Billy Horschel. Yeah, 1.2 strokes gained per round over the last 36. Now, it's a massive gap. Scottie's like 2 shots better per round than that. It's absolutely nuts. But Billy Horschel has quietly put together a really good 2024. And he won earlier this year. You might not have realized that, but he did just cash in a victory in Punta Cana. He finished 8th at the PGA Championship. And let me just zoom you out a little bit. Here's his stat profile from last year. Basically red across the board. Here's his stat profile for this year. Basically green across the board. And he can still be volatile. That's Billy's nature. But he's starting to rein that in a little bit. The results are great. He's got a bunch of top 10s in 2024, including that victory just a few starts ago and coming off a T8 at Valhalla, like we mentioned. So Billy Horschel's starting to play some of the best golf that I remember him playing, and maybe that he's played since he won I was going to say since he won the FedEx Cup. That was a long time ago. But it was probably the year that he won, I think there was a year he won Memorial. And then he won, I've gotten like 5 hours of sleep every night this week, but that is no excuse. I hate when people say, oh, I'm tired. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I think he won Memorial, and then he won a DP World Tour event like within 8 starts of one another, maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, something like that. So he's probably playing the best golf since then is Billy Horschel. What else do we have here? Justin Rose. So Justin Rose was a pretty big candidate for regression over the weekend. He just was putting the lights out. He and Shane Lowry really rode a lot of momentum. We were just sitting greenside. We followed that group in, seeing if Lowry could shoot a 61 and break the major championship record. Didn't do it, tied it. But it was cool to see he and Rosie get after it. I think Rose is a good, not great option for this week. I'll tell you what, this is and feels like a Sepp Straka event, okay? Sepp Straka is becoming a much better golfer. The jury is very out on his major championship future, but he gained 4.2 strokes on approach at Valhalla, and he gained 4.7 at the Wells Fargo Championship, right? I mean, now 4 straight measured events where he's gained at least 3.5, 2 of them being majors and the other 2 being signature events. Are you joking me? Are you joking me right now? So the question is just going to be, can he chip and putt well enough to keep himself in this golf tournament? And a lot of times he has. The miscut, it wasn't pretty. You can lose a lot of strokes on and around the putting surfaces at Valhalla. I'm not going to beat him up for that. But looking at the way that he sets up for this place, he's very accurate off the tee. He's going to keep it in play there. We're starting to see a lot of second shot gains. That's one of the biggest separators. It's just going to be a lot about that putter. Is he going to be able to roll the rock well enough to separate from the field? That's the big question. And I'm going to say yes. The answer is yes. He is $8,300. Thomas Dietrich is an animal. Okay, Dietrich will do it a little bit of a different way. So look at these results that he's put up. Remember when everybody gosh, was that the last fall or the fall prior? He had a run where when he first came over from the DP World Tour, he had been crushing it on the DP World Tour. Then he started off really well in the fall. I think it was this past fall. And then he kind of cooled off to start the year. And now we're finally seeing why everybody was so excited about him. And I'll tell you what, I saw a lot of Dietrich this week because he played with Scotty and someone else, I believe. No, I guess it was Scotty on Saturday. No, it was definitely Scotty on Saturday. Yeah, because Dietrich pulled hybrid. It was Dietrich and Hubbard. Okay, so Hubbard drives the green on 4 or hits one up there close. Scotty blows it over the green, horrible mistake. And then Dietrich hits it to like 30 yards short with like a hybrid. The way the ball comes off his club is special. Just so good, incredibly talented. And now you're starting to see those results follow in tow and look a lot like that run that he had kind of in that swing season as well. T2 in Houston, T8 at the Zurich Classic, gets a team event, and then T4 at the PGA Championship. Like the way that he's going right now. He is $8,000 even. And then this is my weekly reminder that Keegan Bradley is just way better than these guys. And he is trending in the right direction. He has 3 top 25s in a row. Seems to be in good spirits. Actually, we stayed at the same hotel, saw him a lot. Seemed to be in good spirits, seemed to be ready to rock and roll. He's just way too good. He's way too good to be here. 7K range. And before we get there, I want to look at the trends tool real quick because this helps identify some of the golfers a little bit farther down the board. So this says, who is playing over their head or who is playing better than their 100-round baseline, right? That's what I use here. I take the 100-round baseline, and then I take the last 36 rounds or whatever you want to use, and we add a new strokes gain trend to it. And again, Scotty Scheffler's up there, Billy Horschel's up there, but look at Maverick McNeely up here. So the way this reads is McNeely's playing 1.16 strokes over he's playing 0.8 over his 100-round baseline, which makes him a caliber player of about 1.16. It makes him a very good player. That would be like Colin Morikawa's, career average or something like that. Now, Morikawa's done that for years, and McNeely's doing it for 36 rounds, but you get where I'm going with this. And then Doug Gim and Akshay Bhatia are also in this range, and they're also on that list. So let's do a deep dive on McNeely, who, if you know anything about Maverick, he's his superpower, the best part about his game is the putter. However, now that he's healthy, he drives it well, his second shots are coming around, the results are following in tow. He's healthy for the first time in a long time here in 2024, and it's been really, really good. Doug Gim, saw a lot of Doug Gim last week too. He got into that field late and took advantage of it because he made the cut, and then he ended up finishing T35, gaining everywhere but with the putter. We have gotten that putting regression. We probably should have seen that coming. We probably should have known it was coming, but it's not as bad as losing 2, 3, 4 strokes to the field like he's done historically in his career. He's now just like a -1 or less than that, and I can live with that, especially around this place and especially in a field this week. And then I like just piling up talent here a little bit, right? So Davis Thompson, runner-up at Myrtle Beach Classic. I've spent so much oxygen on him. I won't do it anymore, but I'm going to continue. T2 at Myrtle Beach. Austin Eckroat, spent a lot of oxygen on him. The way that he has won this year and just kept his head down is admirable. Finished T16 at this event. Mark Hubbard, what does Hubbard do? Plays out of the fairway, hits his second shots well. He's well-rounded. The only thing he loses at is off the tee. He loses off the tee because of distance, not because of accuracy. Finished T9 here last year, has made 4 consecutive cuts. He played well at the PGA Championship. He's got a great demeanor. He understands his strengths and weaknesses. So I'm going for talent, a little bit of Mark Hubbard. Not to say you're not talented, Mark, but you get where I'm going here. You get the most out of your skills. A little bit of Lee Hodges here. 31st in this field over the last 36 in driving accuracy. He doesn't hit a ton of greens for me, which worries me, but we've got 2 really good finishes in a row, PGA Championship and the Wells Fargo Championship. He's got the 12th and a 24th, respectively. He's finished top 35 here in each of the last 2 years. That's special. How about this? Did we see Ryo Hisatsune's final round on Sunday at the PGA Championship? I'm pretty sure it was tied for round of the day. I might be wrong. Maybe he got off to a hot start and gave a couple back. I thought he, Bryson, and someone else shot the best rounds on Sunday, and maybe he gave some back, or maybe I'm wrong. But either way, his final 3 rounds were great. He gained 3 strokes to the field on Friday, 2.5 on Saturday, and 2.2 on Sunday. Gained all 4 days. Finished T18. This is the Hisatsune that we saw kind of earlier this year, or at the end of last year into this year. The end of last year was his DP World Tour stuff. I think he's finally getting more comfortable on this stage. He's been really good. I'm interested to see how he contends, or if he contends, I suppose, is a better way to put it. The 6K range, couple of interesting options. I'm not sure how many of them set up really good for this field, or for this event. Nate Lashley comes to mind. He's $6,800. He's cooled off just a hair, but he's had a very, very good 2024, and his skill set is not overpowering. It's fairways and greens, which I can certainly get behind at Colonial. What else do we have here? We've got a couple of decent finishes from Michael Kim as of late, but I worry about his ability to spray it all over the yard. That worries me. CT Pan would kind of be interesting, but he's struggled as of late. That's going to be a problem. Jorge Campillo is here. So Jorge played, he did not play the PGA Championship. He didn't play the Wells Fargo Championship. The last event he played was Myrtle Beach. He finished T4 there. So now he has 4 consecutive made cuts, with 3 of them being top 25s. They've been alternate field events or the Byron Nelson. So they haven't been the most stacked fields, but this isn't the most stacked field either. He's not long. He's more accurate off the tee than he is long. After he tees off, he becomes a positive player in basically every single category. So he's somebody that I'd be quite interested in. And then we do get a $5,000 range here. So if we take every golfer in the 5K range and say, who's just the best player over the last 36? Mac Meisner shows up here. He's gaining 0.6 strokes per round. That's 24th in this field. Believe it or not, and he's $5,900. Wesley Bryan at $5,100 got in because Victor Hovland withdrew. Wes is fine. Wes is good. I like Wes. I root for Wes. This is probably, it hasn't been so much lately, but on paper, golf courses that are short and accuracy tests are better for Wesley than a lot of other places. Finished second just a couple of starts ago in Punta Cana, missed the cut at the CJ Cup, missed the cut at Myrtle Beach. But in theory, this would probably be one of the better spots that you could get Wes on. And then if you're looking for someone really far down the list, if you really need to open up value, you're probably not going to be happy because I'm not really sure there's someone I guess Wesley at 5,100 would be the guy that you would go to, because the rest of them are not particularly exciting. Let's see what the model has to say. Let's run a model, custom model, RickRunGood.com, Charles Schwab challenge. Let's do a couple of driving accuracy. Let's do a good drive percentage for 10. That is, can you hit, this is like, I'm connecting first and second shot. Are you hitting either the fairway or a green or fringe in regulation? Essentially, are you keeping it in play enough to hit the green, and then are you able to do that? So I'm combining the first and the second shot there. Then I'm doing another driving accuracy number. Then I will I'll do 2 things. I'll do strokes gained approach for 10, but then I will go into the approach numbers and do some of just the shorter areas here. So we'll do 5 on 100 to 125, 5 on 125 to 150. Course history, I would because it's such a good event that we go to every year, I would probably put more on course history, but it is going to be a little bit of a different look this time around. So we're just going to put 10 on course history. Then we need to do around the green. So we'll do strokes gained around the green, last 12 for 50. Let's probably go last 50 for 15. And then we do need strokes gained putting. Keep that shorter, 24 for 15. And then what we can actually do is we can put another little nugget on bent grass greens, because that's what they're rolling with now. So let's do putting on bent for another 10. And then we have 10 left, and we are going to say fantasy points gained. And our number one golfer is, sure, Scotty Scheffler. No surprise, right? Colin Morikawa is number 2. Look at this. Harris English, Billy Horschel, 3 and 4. They are 9,000 and 8,800. Putnam is 5th. Mark Hubbard, 6. Rye, Bezadenhout, Harmon, Glover, Spieth, Todd, Griffin, Hoagie, Troy Merritt are the top 15. Wow. English and Billy Horschel week. Feels that way, doesn't it? I appreciate all of you. I've got to go do some more live stuff, and we've got to catch a plane and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to stop right there. Wednesday live chat, still rocking and rolling, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Rick Run Good YouTube channel. I'll be back at the home studio. We'll be ready to roll, but I appreciate you guys in a big way. Let's keep it rolling. Good luck.